Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Proof of Love, where we answer audience questions. We're going to get into some interesting topics today. We're going to dig into those little nooks and crannies and see how you really feel about things, because that's kind of show that this is. Not really. We're not really looking to pry. Anyway, this is Tatiana, the host of the show. I have two beautiful co-hostesses with me. Dr. Stephanie Murphy, how are you today?
Hi there. Putting my fingers in all the nooks and crannies of your questions.
Thank you. I really like a good nook. And Lauren Kaszovitz, hey, nice to see you.
You too. I'm happy to be here, even though Mercury is about to retrograde and we can all feel it. But besides that, super happy.
Okay, excellent. Glad to hear that everybody's in a good mood. We've got a lot of questions and we've got the answers, or at least attempted answers, here on Proof of Love. Stephanie, why don't you take them away?
I'm distracted because this whole nooks and crannies and your fingers thing reminds me of a story from medical school. Would you guys like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody wonders, first of all, back up. I'm Dr. Stephanie Murphy. I have a PhD in biochemistry, but I also have half a medical degree. I dropped out of medical school before I finished it, but nevertheless, I got some education. How do doctors learn how to do those sensitive exams, right? Like if you have to stick your finger in someone's butt, how do you practice that without sexually harassing your classmates, right? Because it's one thing to look in someone's ear, but it's a whole other thing to insert your finger into them. The answer to that question is we have patient actors who are paid to let us practice on them. And during my practice, there were 4 medical students that were all kind of ganging up on this one unfortunate man. I hope he was compensated well, that was allowing us to practice the rectal exam on him. And the first, we were all sort of like, okay, who's going to go first? We had practiced it on a doll or a dummy and we'd learned how to do it, but we needed to actually work on our bedside manner. And 4 of us were kind of standing in a group going, okay, who's going to go first? You know, who's going to try it? And this one guy goes, okay, I'll go first. And he puts on a glove, and there's also some lube on the table, but there's not just lube. In every hospital or doctor's office, there's hand sanitizer. And this guy got confused between the lube and the hand sanitizer. And he loaded up his glove with hand sanitizer and got just about this close to inserting it into this poor man's butt before somebody said something. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was me who said, are you sure that's the right thing? And then he realized, oh no, this would be a very bad situation if you were to put your alcohol-laden finger into someone's butt. So,
Wait, what?
Crisis averted.
This
Wow.
People get paid to do this?
Yeah, apparently people get paid to be patient actors and to practice difficult conversations with medical students who are going to become doctors. So like, telling someone a difficult diagnosis, we had actors to role play that with us. And we also had patient actors to let us practice the sensitive kinds of exams. And I really hope they were compensated well. I read an article by a woman who was basically making it her job to go around and teach medical students how to do a pelvic exam on her. And she was kind of doing it as like a happy kind of mission, like, to teach them to be good doctors. And she considered this part of her calling. But some people just kind of do it for money. But, you need to have a good sense of humor. You need to be okay with people touching you in a way that could potentially be uncomfortable if they're not doing it right. You need to be okay with speaking up to give feedback. So, the hats off to these people. I really appreciate them teaching me. And someday I will tell the story about the woman I learned the pelvic exam from.
Wow.
Why don't we get all of the stories at once?
I'm saving that one.
Time.
I'm saving that one.
All right,
there was
fine.
a rumor going around the medical school that I went to that the the fraternities of the undergraduate college had a hazing ritual where they made their pledges volunteer to have the rectal exam practiced on them. I hope that was just a rumor, but I could potentially see that being true.
Oh, no. I don't like it.
Well, it could be good for people who have like doctor fetishes, you know?
That's true.
For
That
sure,
could
but
be
they're
a good
probably not
time
going to
for
get
the
a
right
pleasant.
person.
They're probably not going to have a pleasant experience because the medical students, when they're just starting out, are just learning, and so they're not the most competent to begin with. So
I'm not sure that when somebody's playing doctor, they're looking for competence.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just saying, I
I
think
guess
most
that's
people
true.
are qualified for that. You know, you just have to have the outfit on. I don't think you have to be medically qualified.
I think that if you've practiced anal play with your partner in a sexual context, you might be better at touching a butt than a doctor is who's just learning the rectal exam for the first time.
Oh, I agree.
Well, let's just get thee to a medical school, ladies.
All right, so our questions, right? We need to get into the questions. We've got a great lineup today. So first we have...
Oh, I know what this is about. So
Take it.
Okay, because the reason why this question came up is because I saw a tweet and it was of a girl saying, you know, I'm going to spend my engagement ring on a vacation. Where should I go? And I was like, well, I don't know. Isn't that kind of trashy to be using your engagement ring publicly to go on a vacation? Are you entitled to just use that ring however you see fit? I mean, maybe that guy is a bastard and he deserves you to rub his ring money in his face, but I don't know, seemed kind of trashy. And so I thought we could talk about what happens to the ring if you break up, and then a little bit about prenups, because I think they kind of have to go together.
First of all, what do you mean when you say trashy? Tell me more about that.
I don't know. I just think that if your love affair doesn't work out, you're not supposed to take the ring that your fiance bought you as a promise of marriage and use it for a vacation. I think that that's rude. I don't know. I mean, I think that women can keep the ring a lot of the times, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to just go waving it around and spend it on a vacation. That just seems trashy to me. Like, give it back to the guy or pawn it and be kind of
quiet,
modest about it. Yeah, like I think that's what I don't like. I don't like the blatantly just using the guy for a vacation.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also think it's pretty, and I think trashy is actually the right word here, because it does seem pretty trashy. Like, why are you yelling that on the internet? It's like, if you're keeping the ring and you're using it for money, like, just do that. There's no reason to be all, man, this is a ring and I'm returning it and I'm going to go away and blah, blah, blah. It just seems so catty and like vengeful. I don't know. Maybe that's just the way we took it, but Steph, what do you think?
Well, I feel uncomfortable like just trashing on another woman in general. I'm not going to say that she's trashy. I think that, you know, we don't know what went on in that relationship. Maybe she deserves a vacation. Maybe this guy got her a ring but was super abusive. Or we don't even know that it's a guy who gave it to her.
I agree with you in the sense of, you know, if it was a crap relationship or the ring was kind of something she was keeping because she went through so much terrible stuff with him, that I get completely. Or if maybe sometimes...
Yeah, but you can make up a reason for that anytime. Like, lots of people will be like, oh, he was terrible, I had to keep the ring. I mean, did you really?
Yeah, and the posting about it on Twitter is where I take the most issue with what she did, because that just seems like it's not going to contribute to anything getting resolved, really. It's just going to kind of add fuel to the fire of drama. So, you know, if she wants to sell the ring, I think that's her business, right? If someone gives you a gift, that means you can do anything you want with it. They gave it to you. You don't have any obligation to continue using it in the way that the person who gave it to you wants you to use it. It's your property now, so you can sell it. You can throw it in the trash. You can throw it down the toilet. You can continue to wear it. You can give it to someone else. You can do anything you want because that thing is yours. So I think she's fine and perfectly within her rights to sell the ring, especially if she doesn't want to keep it, you know, now that the relationship is over. But posting about it on Twitter, yeah, I can't really get behind that. That's not something I would do myself.
I agree with you on that. I mean, whatever you want to do with it, it's yours. I guess just from my perspective, I've never been engaged and broke it off, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining what I would do. I don't think I would want to keep the ring. I don't think, even if I was in dire straits, I don't think I would want to keep the ring. I think I would to return it. I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. I feel conflicted on it because I get it if you need it for money or whatever, you want to do something nice with it. But it almost feels like you ended an engagement. You ended a huge promise to each other to spend your lives together. Maybe it's a nicer thing to give it back and have it end in a clean way. I don't know. I guess.
I wonder what the resale value is.
Well, that's another very good point, right? Because some people, if someone gives you an engagement ring and it's a QZ and it's available at a department store for $50, then I don't know if it's like all bets are off, I think, But if someone's giving you a diamond ring that's worth thousands of dollars, and the reason that diamond rings are given, I know people have problems with blood diamonds and all that, and it's traditional, The reason why diamond rings are given is that diamonds are hard and they last a long time, and it's supposed to symbolize the commitment you're making, that it's going to be a lasting commitment, right? And so, I could totally see why you don't want to hold on to such a symbolic object. And if you still care about your ex, maybe you want to give it back to them because, you would like them to have that $2,000 or however much it cost back. So it's kind of a win-win, but you don't have to give it back. That's the thing. Like, you're not obligated to give it back. It's a nice thing to do.
Though. I mean, why are you not obligated to give it back?
Because it's a gift.
It's not a gift. It's a gift that you're going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's a gift for a gift. It's not just like, oh, hey, I got you this diamond ring. Bye. Like,
do you think if women got men engagement rings that were high value, that the men would be worrying about whether or not to give it back if the engagement ends?
I think two wrongs don't make a right. And I think that traditionally an engagement ring is supposed to also like symbolize for taking the chick off the market.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry to be so gauche about it, but I mean, that's the reality of it. You're supposed to be getting something for that purchase of the ring. I mean, it's not a nice way of looking at it, but.
No, I see where you're coming from. And I think it's also a really different situation if, let's say, you've gotten divorced. Like, that's your ring. You got married. That's your ring. I know of a few people who've been divorced and who have actually given the ring back to the ex-husband. I think that's probably a little more rare, but I think in an engagement setting, I kind of agree with you, Tatiana. I'm surprised that I feel like this kind of conventional and conservative about it, but I kind of think it is not important to give it back, but you haven't actually gotten married, and it is kind of, as terrible as it sounds, an exchange. It is.
Giving the ring back is also a symbol that this is over.
Yes.
It's a very clear message of, nope, I don't want this on me anymore. Take it back. You can do whatever you want with it. It's off. Yeah. So I could see that as a good reason for giving the ring back. But I just feel like if someone gives you a gift, you can do whatever you want with it, and they have no right to be offended if you do something with it that they wouldn't like.
Wait, I have an important follow-up question. This
Okay.
is very important. What if gives him back the ring and then he goes on Twitter and starts bragging about how he's selling the ring to go on a vacation? Is that okay?
No, God, no.
It's like the reverse, right? I mean, you gave it back to him, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so bad if he does that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that it could go both ways.
Oh my gosh, I think that's horrible. But yeah, that could happen too. It's kind of equal.
Steph, what do you think?
I think we shouldn't have double standards. I mean, even though this situation starts out with a double standard, which is that the man gives the woman a ring, and it's so heteronormative and traditional and stuff, right? Some couples are questioning, engagement rings and the whole idea of them, and commitment rings and how they show their commitment to the world. And that's great. I think if you want to put your own spin on it, and if you want to talk about it with your partner, how you indicate to other people that you're married, or how you wear a physical reminder of your commitment, that's great if you want to make your own rules about that, right? But as far as him posting on Twitter, I wouldn't endorse that either. I just don't like public drama, and I don't like putting your stuff on social media for other people to gawk at.
Where else are you going to put your drama? That's where it belongs.
Keep it to yourself. But I had something else. Oh yeah, have you ladies ever seen someone transform an engagement ring or a wedding band into something else once they got divorced or the relationship ended? I've seen people make other jewelry out of them, and I think that's a great way to symbolize, this was an important part of my life, and now it's transformed into something else.
I like that. I haven't seen
a better piece of jewelry that's more suitable for day-to-day wear.
A tennis bracelet, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice idea. Have you guys seen anybody do that?
No.
Yes.
I don't have friends that, okay. All right,
well, actually, I haven't seen it. I have read about it in a romance book.
Doesn't count. Although, by the way, I found another person that loves 90 Day Fiance.
Ooh, I think I need to connect with this person.
I know. Everybody who loves that show is basically united through you. You're like the Kevin Bacon of relationship reality shows. Or maybe
I am
that
the
could
90
just
Day
be
Fiance whisperer. Everyone is
Yes.
7 degrees away from Stephanie.
7 degrees away from watching their first episode and 90 days away from love.
All right, so have we beat this horse to death? Do you want to move on to the next question?
Well, I wanted to talk about prenups.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that this is kind of related to it. And I've been talking about prenups with some friends lately. And, the case, from what I understand, the point of a prenup is to protect the assets of the wealthier party, traditionally the man. And it's supposed to pre-negotiate out a settlement because you're less likely to hate each other now than if you were to get a divorce later. So you could potentially negotiate a more amicable resolution and more favorable terms for the, let's say, weaker party, traditionally like the female, the less wealthy party, right? So I think that prenups are horrible. Like, I understand why people get them, but I think that I would be pretty offended if somebody asked me for one, although I can appreciate why people get them. So I want to know what you guys think. And then also, my friend, she brought up the idea of a female that had more money than her husband getting a prenup, but that didn't bother me as much because I feel like the woman is losing her premium in the market by getting taken off the market in her youthful years. And so she's not able to generate as much money. For the woman to protect her wealth from her husband, let's say that they get a divorce or whatever, I don't think that got really hurt as much as a woman would by getting married and taken off of the dating market. Because women are usually getting more of their wealth through their marriage. And then, not always, but men are basically, then they have to give away a lot of their wealth. That's also scary and bad. So that's not cool. I'm not saying that, a woman should get every dime the man has until he dies or something. But I don't know. A prenup seems very in good faith. What do you guys think? I know it's like a touchy subject.
Do you want to go first, Steph? Because I have a lot of feelings about this.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, I'll go first. Sure. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about this. And in a lot of states, it's like people think that you could marry someone and then it doesn't work out and then suddenly they take all your money. And sometimes men who hate women say this about women. Oh, she's going to get half of what I own and I need to protect myself and stuff. And they have all these fears about it. Well, in reality, that's not really how it works. I think splitting up assets in a divorce, the courts try to do that in a way that takes into account, like if people are married and they're doing they're doing something like raising children together, for example, and one person chooses to stay home and devote most of their time to the children in the household, they're not going to be bringing in excess income from outside of the household, but they're doing really important work that they don't get compensated for with money. And what is the value of, contributing that work to the family for the years or however long you are married to each other? There has to be some value attached to that, right? And, can a person even leave a relationship if they have no money because they've spent the last however many years just dedicating themselves to the family unpaid and they have no savings? And so you don't want to be in a situation like that where you're trapped in a marriage because of financial disadvantage, I guess. Also, in a lot of states, they like anything that you had going into the marriage is considered yours if the marriage breaks up. It's only like the assets that you accumulate together during the time that you're married that are kind of in question in a divorce. It's not like that in every state. It's different state by state here in the US. And of course, we're just talking about Americans who I think Americans are the only crazy people in the world who even think about something like a prenup because Americans are litigious and they sue each other. Like people from other countries just don't even this isn't even on their radar. This isn't a thing where you would get divorced from someone and you would both have a lawyer that are fighting with each other tooth and nail about things. And so basically, after all that ranting, I'm with you, Tatiana. I don't like them either. I think they're not usually done in good faith. And if you really don't trust the person that you're going to marry enough to merge your property with them and your assets, don't marry them, right? This is not a contract where you're making with a long-term sex worker or something like that. This is a marriage. And if you don't feel comfortable putting your stuff together with that other person and trusting that they're not going to try to take what you consider yours, then don't marry them. Just do something else instead. And I just don't think, first of all, they're always to the advantage, just like any contract, it's always to the advantage of the person who has more powerful lawyers and the person that has more money. Mm-hmm. And that's usually who wins out in these cases. So, okay, Lauren, I want to let you speak. I know I was ranting a lot, but I'm with you, Tatiana. I don't think they're usually done in good faith, and it doesn't contribute to trust or, really start a marriage off in a way that I would think would be a positive way to start out a marriage. It's kind of adversarial.
Yeah, what a buzzkill. I mean, really, way to ruin the romance, guys. I'd love to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. Just sign out right there at the dotted line. Thank you. Yeah, no, you need to put the date. I love you so much. I mean, what the hell is that?
I agree with you both. I think, Steph, you made a really good point in that a lot of, whether it's a stay-at-home dad or traditionally the stay-at-home mom, they're contributing to whatever wealth you're building together by taking care of the home and the family. Even so, I mean, I'm thinking about somebody I know, the dad was pretty successful before he married the wife, and she was, decently successful. And then he decided he wanted to do a completely different career change, and she paid for everything for like 10 years. Like, she worked while he went to school. And then once he finished school, he became a doctor, or some kind of surgeon, making boatloads of money. And if they had had some kind of prenup or something, do you think she would have seen a cent of that eventual money they made? No. And she was the one that got him there. Really, if she hadn't been working the whole time he was in school in his 30s, like, this is an adult, not like very young kids, he would have never made it there. He would have never had that opportunity. So I think it's really, like, we don't think about that enough. I mean, there are people that are at home caring for the kids or supporting the household, whatever the situation is. And it just seems really messed up if something goes wrong and the other person made a fortune over it and they leave with nothing. It's just depressing. It's bleak. And I think prenups are generally different, but I think we tend to hear prenup and we imagine a really rich guy marrying probably a woman that doesn't have a lot of money. This is like the hypothetical in quotes of what we imagine. Realistically, it's not most often like that when people are getting married. And I think it's just kind of yucky and gross. And if you're putting together a prenup, if you're this like old heir or heiress and you have all this family money and you're putting together a prenup for your significant other because you're not sure that they're not using you for your money, what are you doing? Why are you even going through with it? Like, rip up the prenup and run. It just makes no sense to me. Like, what are you doing? Are you like some old guy from a ton of money and you're marrying like a 20-year-old woman who you met while she was prostituting? Good for her. She's making her money. But like, if you don't trust her and you think that she's using you, why are you marrying her? Because of good sex? Like, well, it just makes no sense. I think it's ridiculous and it's sad.
You also can't predict the future.
Exactly.
Right? You don't know. You might know your current financial situation and your fiance's as well, but you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Somebody could get injured. It could be either one of you and the other one has to support them for a while. Or someone could choose to make a career change down the line and the financial situations for both of you individually could become very different. And you also can't predict, are you going to have children? Are you going to have a house together? What kind of house? And how would you like to split the children and the house up before you get married? Like, it's just, you're talking about so many hypotheticals that if you don't have the skills to be able to work those issues out with your partner as they come up, then you're probably not going to be able to work them out in advance of them even happening. Like, as a hypothetical.
Right. And don't they say, isn't it, I mean, I don't think I'm just pulling this out of the air, but aren't finances one of the biggest reasons why marriages break apart?
Yes, the top three things, as we learned in our interview with Day and Ari, the top three things that married couples fight about are money, sex, and children, having children.
And it makes sense. I mean, when you're joining your bank accounts or however you're choosing to do it. I know a lot of people don't join bank accounts these days when they get married, but there has to be a really deep level of trust there. I mean, even for me, I was broke forever. And now I'm finally in a really nice place, making decent money, feeling very comfortable. And for me, I'm terrified to share finances with my fiance, who has been stable financially for like the past 15 years. So I have no reason not to trust him. And even I had a little bit of like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I trust him. And and we're doing it, and we're going to merge the finances, and we're going to make it happen because I trust him. And I know that he's going to do whatever's in our best interest. He knows I'm going to do whatever's in our best interest. He had to have a lot of trust in me as well. You have to have it, period. And a prenup kind of does make it seem like you don't trust each other.
The situations where
thumbs down. Thumbs down for prenups from the ladies at Proof of Love.
Wah, wah.
I was just thinking, like, I feel like most people have negative connotations or negative associations with sharing finances with a significant other, either because of their parents in their childhood or because of experiences they've had with partners where they had some level of merging of their finances and they got screwed over, whether it's a previous divorce or just living with somebody and merging your finances and somehow you get screwed. And we don't get a lot of opportunity to practice that and have it work out well, right? And so it's scary to go into that. But a prenup, I feel like the most useful situations where a prenup would have helped me would be when I was living with a partner and then there was financial issues that came up, and I didn't have anything protecting me at that point from being kind of mooched off of, right? So, and maybe that would have been helpful.
I don't know. So it seems like we're all thumbing down prenups. But
does that mean that are we succubi after a man's resources?
No, I have the resources. I don't take the resources. I'm not a succubus. I am the source of supply.
But
all right, I like that attitude.
I'm not for prenups in any way, shape, or form, but I also kind of, just to give an alternate perspective, I kind of understand if, let's say, there are two people, they both are making a lot of money and they decide to get married, kind of like what you said before, Steph, about different states having different laws. If you're in an equal footing before the marriage, before, you tie the knot, and you both have some kind of prenup that says what we made before is ours and what we make together going forward is shared, I don't hate that as much. I kind of get it. I don't know. Unpopular opinion. I kind of get that. I think it's when there's a kind of sway of power and one person has more than the other significantly is when it starts getting icky.
Yeah, I agree. Those power imbalances are really difficult. But I mean, if you're the less powerful person in one of those situations and your partner asks you to sign a prenup, like, that is not going to do anything except reinforce the existing power dynamic and make you feel less powerful. It's not to protect you, it's to protect them. And usually it's the more powerful person who actually doesn't need protection, who is the one who's benefiting most from those kinds of things.
Well, I want to bring up something that happened a couple weeks ago. I was hanging out with a female friend of mine and we were hanging out with some men and we were working and the men were cooking in the kitchen. Holy moly, do these guys have it good. We just sat there and then people brought us food. And then afterward, we just kept working and thinking and relaxing. And we didn't do any of the man work or the typical woman work. And I actually like being in the kitchen. I like playing house or whatever. But I think I'm going to revise my policy because when you're sitting around and the stuff is being brought to you, that's actually better than doing it yourself in the kitchen. Ladies, I'm giving you a heads up. Have you guys ever experienced this? I was shocked at how nice it must be because for every family holiday, I think that the women are constantly just doing the stuff to, I don't know, like the guys just sit around and they enjoy themselves. I like that experience and I want to experience it more. Have you guys had that happen before? And does this story make you a little bit resentful?
Oh, I get it. I mean, so my dad loves to cook. So I grew up without seeing that dynamic. Both of my parents, they would both cook. They would make whatever they made. So I didn't even really know that was a thing. Like I knew traditionally it was, but this was back in the day when it wasn't like cool to be a chef for a man. Now it's like, that's a hot thing to be. But my dad always loved cooking and he's amazing at it. So yeah, as I got older and I was going to other people's houses for events or just even in like some relationships I had and I would see it and it would be like, what the hell is this? Whoever is sitting there just getting the food, not cleaning up, just talking, brainstorming, 100% have it better. 100%. And I think it's totally nuts that in a lot of cultures and in our country, it's still considered a woman's job to do all those things. When plenty of men might enjoy doing it if they had to do it. I don't know.
I don't think that they would enjoy doing the dishes.
No.
I mean, I like doing some dishes, but we were just the house. It's a hard thing to keep in order. You know what I'm saying? Even with a dishwasher. I don't know. What do you think, Steph? I feel like Stephanie, actually, you've always had like a little bit of a role reversal with your boyfriends. Like you're the house husband or they're the house husband. I don't know how that works, but somebody there is not doing.
What about my girlfriends?
Well, that's true. Yes. So you're saying that all of your partners are the ones that are doing the cooking and cleaning?
No. Okay. Oh, I have so many feelings about this. So let's go back to childhood. I grew up in a family seeing whenever there was a family meal with, more than just my well, actually, no, this wasn't true. So whenever there was a family meal, whether it was just my family or my extended family with relatives, what I observed was the women all falling all over themselves, jumping up from their chair in the middle of dinner to get things to serve, to make the meal nice, to prepare the food, to clear the dishes, to do the dishes afterwards, to set the table beforehand, to cook all day. And the men sitting down, relaxing and watching football. And that was literally how it was. As soon as I was able to, I was tapped to help with setting the table, whatever I could manage to help with. That was supposed to be my job. Now, I didn't have a brother or any other male people in my family that were my age, like cousins or whatever. So to be fair, I didn't get to see how a boy would be treated differently. But with the adults, I observed that they were definitely falling into roles that were very different. And those roles divided strictly along gender lines. And I remember asking my parents about this. I was asking my mom, like, is this really fair that you're like sitting there washing dishes while dad watches TV? Or like, why do I have to help set the table and the men don't? And what I was told was that my mother and father made an agreement with each other at the beginning of their marriage where my mother would do the traditional female gender role stuff and my father would do the traditional male gender role stuff. And that includes going out and making the money so he could relax when he's at home. And that worked really well for them, but I didn't ask to be part of that dynamic. I didn't want that, and so what the message I got from that was that, okay, if this is the choice between like the typical feminine role and the stereotypical masculine role, I'm picking the masculine role, because it seems like it gets more glory and credit and it seems more fun. And, over time, I began to question that, right? Because the work that's traditionally associated with to be women's work is really valuable, right? Like this is really important stuff. Like families and society don't work without this work, but yet it's so undervalued by our culture or devalued by our culture. And I don't know, I just think that's a shame. So I think everybody should spend some time thinking about this. Now, as far as the situation that you described, Tatiana, where you were working and you were being waited on hand and foot by these male servants, that sounds great. This sounds kind of kinky. I think everybody likes to be served, right? And no matter who you are, right? It feels good to be supported, right? And when someone's serving you food and taking care of that for you, removing it from your plate so you don't have to worry about it, it feels good. It feels like you're being supported. But sometimes we forget to value or thank the people who support us and take responsibilities off of our shoulders. And so, I don't know, what I get out of all of this is it should be an individual choice, what you want to do, what kind of roles you want to take. You shouldn't be confined by your sex that you were assigned at birth or your perceived gender. It should be an individual choice what you want to do. And also remember to thank the people who support you, no matter who they are, because everybody loves to be supported and it feels good.
Amen.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's good that we brought up the resources part, because to be fair, if a guy is going out and bringing home the bacon, I think the chick should do some more of the cleaning stuff for sure. I'm not sure that the guy should just lounge there and watch football and scratch their balls the whole time, but I definitely think that if the guy is going out and doing the working on the weekend, if the mom wants to, I don't know, I think that she would probably I think that's fair for her to do the cooking and stuff if he's going to make the money. Yes? No? You guys hate that?
No, I agree with that. No, I agree. If you're staying home and you're deciding to be a homemaker, that's a job. It's part of a job. If that's what you're doing and you've made that decision together, like he's going to go out and work and you're going to stay home and tend to the house, and whether there are kids or not and the food, sure. That's really, it sounds overly pragmatic, but it really is your job if those are the job kind of rules that you've set out. I don't know if rules is the right word there, but you know what I mean.
Guidelines,
exactly.
Household structure.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only thing I hate is how you were kind of like framing it in terms of like, this is one gender's role and this is the other gender's role. Like, I think that
do you want to carry the refrigerator up 4 flights of stairs? Because I think that that's a point where, wait, I heard this Polish guy say, he's like, oh, everybody's a feminist until you got to take the refrigerator up 4 flights of stairs. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's totally right. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a man job, quote unquote. They got bigger muscles.
Well, it also depends, I think, because there are certain things that bring people joy, right? Like my dude, you know how some guys love to just mow the lawn. It's relaxing. They enjoy it. My dude loves to vacuum the house. He loves it. It makes him feel good. He puts on his music. He dances around. It's adorable. And he doesn't mind doing the dishes. When I cook, it's almost like I'm cooking, he's cleaning. It's having that, to counter that, I don't mind doing laundry. I actually enjoy doing laundry because for many years I didn't have laundry in my own apartment. So I don't mind doing that. He hates doing laundry. So we kind of found that balance there. And I think there are a lot of traditionally female chores that men really enjoy and do enjoy. So
okay, I like that. Fine.
Yeah.
They're allowed to help. Oh yeah, I'm not saying they're not allowed to help clean, but I'm just saying like guys going out and doing all this stuff. You can't just be sitting around eating bonbons, ladies. Yeah. That's all.
I agree with you on that. I do.
Stephanie wants to kill us all. She hates this episode.
I am cringing so hard. Okay, as far as everybody's a feminist until they have to carry a refrigerator up the stairs, okay, that's what we have robots for. Yeah. Robots are there to help you with work, no matter what your gender is.
And not everybody can afford a robot, but everybody can find a man.
No, they can't. And also, like, feminism says that men should not be expected to do physical tasks or confined to that role just simply because they're a man either, right?
Well, that's the part that I disagree with.
Okay, well, I will say that I acknowledge that for a lot of people, it makes sense to sort of split up the household labor in a way that, there's a kind of a large division of labor, right? And you could say that there's like a role that's kind of traditionally associated with masculinity, and then there's a different role that's associated with femininity. I just don't think you should be limited by your perceived gender or the sex that you were born as or whatever into serving in a certain role. Maybe for a lot of people that they feel comfortable with their traditional gender role because of how they grew up or tradition, or maybe it's a little bit of biology too sometimes. But I don't think that should be a box that you're confined within, because when people are put in boxes, they become unhappy. And, I never felt like, I feel like in some ways I fit into the female box well, and in some ways I really don't. And if I was forced to be living my life within it exclusively, I would be really unhappy. So
I don't know. The dishwashing role is out for you. Definitely not a no.
Well, that's why I have a robot. I have a robot that washes my dishes. Robots are the solution to everything.
I don't know. I don't have any robots. I wash my dishes by hand. I actually really like washing dishes, but putting the duvet on the bed is the worst of all home tasks in my viewpoint.
And I don't like doing it.
What?
I don't mind doing it. I love making the bed.
So you and Laura should just be roommates then.
Yes, there you go. If only she wasn't getting married. Perhaps that could work. But in the interim, I'll have someone else do my damn duvets. Okay, so we've been talking for quite a while, ladies, but do we have any other questions that we want to go over today? Because we went off on a couple little side tangents, but I enjoyed them. Oh, faking orgasms. This is an extremely important topic. I'm really glad that we're tackling this today on Proof of Love. Although I kind of feel like we've almost maybe gone over this before. Did we ever do a faking orgasm?
No, we never did this.
Oh, okay. I guess that must have been with some of my other friends. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this because I thought it was a funny topic. And people wonder, are you supposed to fake it? Supposedly a lot of women do fake it. What do you girls think? To fake or not to fake? Is it polite to fake?
No.
Should you not fake? I'm anti-fake. I think you should.
Yeah.
You got to give honest feedback, constructive criticism, and by faking it, you're only shooting yourself in the foot.
I completely agree with you there. I think there's no point of faking. I feel like if you're confident with yourself and the person you're with, why are you faking it? You can I know that a lot of men and women have big egos, and it hurts if somebody, hasn't finished, but no one's going to finish every time. If they are, they're very, very lucky and rare. So I don't know. I would never fake it. I would just not finish if that's the situation, and maybe bust out a vibrator. I don't know. Maybe I'm overly confident about it, but no faking it. No.
Okay. I am anti-fake.
I am anti-fake too, but with lots and lots of compassion for fakers and why they do it.
Yes.
And I'll tell you a personal story. I had a little bit of a rocky road with learning my own body and learning how to have an orgasm. And I did not, they say that most most males are learning how to pleasure themselves at quite a young age. I was many years behind that age. I was almost graduating from high school, and I had never experienced an orgasm and what that feels like. But I desperately wanted it. And so I was on this quest to find an orgasm. And it was really difficult. I didn't know what to do. I didn't really even know how to go about it. Luckily for me, I was able to access the internet, and I had access to some guides that were helping me figure this out. But it took me years to figure it out. And even when I was able to achieve an orgasm by myself, I still couldn't do it with a partner for many years after that. So as a result, I was faking. I did it for many reasons. One was because I thought there was something wrong with me, and I didn't want to seem like there was, I was broken or dysfunctional. I actually had a man mansplain to me once about my orgasms. I was fooling around with him, and I was faking orgasms. And he told me that he read an article in a porn magazine that had descriptions of the ways that different women orgasm. And he said to me, "Oh, you're like the easy O. You just come whenever, at the drop of a hat." And I was saying,
when you want him to get away from you.
Oh my God. Yeah. He's mansplaining my own fake orgasms to me. This is like the peak. This is the pinnacle. And so, yeah, that experience was really yucky. And I was doing it, getting back to why I was doing it, I was mostly doing it because I was concerned that there's something wrong with me, and I wanted to fit in. I wanted to seem like there's nothing wrong with me. It wasn't to get my partners to leave me alone or anything like that. If something hurt, I would say something, and I would not let that continue. But some people do it because of that, because their partner is actually hurting them, or it feels uncomfortable, or it just doesn't feel good, but they don't know how to tell them, or they've learned that it's not safe to speak up and tell someone feedback like that. Like, "Hey, you're hurting me," or "Hey, this doesn't feel good and I don't think this is going to work." They are, for whatever reason, afraid to actually say that to someone. And in that case, if someone's faking it for those reasons, I feel a lot of compassion for them. Faking is not going to work in the long term. It's not going to get any better. If you keep providing that feedback that everything is fine, it's not going to change. You're basically training your partner to keep doing this thing that it hurts you and not speaking up, or just doesn't feel good and not speaking up. So it's not going to benefit you to keep on faking, but I understand why someone would do that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just because I think saying faking an orgasm is just very all-encompassing. And I'm wondering, when most people are just using that term, are they talking about in the moment faking, like with the moans and "I'm coming" and all that? Or are they talking about not actually doing the whole, like When Harry Met Sally fake orgasm, but after they're done and their partner asks, "Did you come?" and they say yes when they haven't? Do you consider that faking?
Yeah, I consider both of those faking. I mean, because they're both kind of saying you experienced an orgasm when you didn't, right?
Yeah, because I think that's probably a lot more common for maybe the person just doesn't feel comfortable telling them, or they're not, like you said, like I really like the empathetic viewpoint you gave, because there's a lot of reasons why people might fake. And if, saying that you did come when you didn't is considered faking, then I'm sure a lot of people have done that, especially when they didn't understand their body, or they didn't feel safe with their partner, or whatever the situation is.
Yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity where your partner's actually showing some curiosity and saying, "Well, did you?" And instead of just assuming that you did. And they're actually maybe showing that they might be a little bit more open to feedback than in the other situation where they just don't ask and don't care. So, maybe that could be an opportunity to say, "Well, actually, no, I would like it if you did this instead," or whatever. But you can't say that if you don't know your own body. And that's a problem that a lot of people, more commonly women, have, that they don't even know what to ask for in order to make it feel good. So if that's you, take a break from partner sex, maybe, if that's going to work for you, and just spend some time exploring your own body and getting to know what feels good to you and how you like to be touched by yourself. And then you can actually tell a partner, give them some feedback and give them some direction. And if a partner is not open to feedback or direction, don't be their partner. You want someone who cares about your pleasure, because they care about their own pleasure, so they should care about yours too.
What if you suspect that your partner is faking? What do you do then?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
lovely.
I think you have to first make yourself a really safe person to talk to about this. Because, if someone had
Good point.
called me out and said, "Are you faking? That didn't seem real. Did you really have an orgasm?" I would not have really been excited about opening up and being vulnerable and saying, "Well, actually, no, I didn't. And here's why I lied to you about it, because I'm afraid that there's something wrong with me." The person is already making me feel like there's something wrong with me by calling me out, right? So, you have to just make yourself really safe to confide in about this. You have to ask your partner for feedback in the moment as sex is happening. Hey, does that feel good? Tell me on 1 to 10. How does that feel? How does it feel when I do this? Tell me the number, call out the number. Is there anything you would like that would make this even better? Those kinds of questions should be an ongoing conversation during sex. And it shouldn't be like afterwards, hey, that didn't seem like a real orgasm to me. And by the way, orgasms look very different for different people, right? Some people look like a porn star and they're moaning and writhing and all that stuff. Some people, they're much more quiet. The same person can have different types of orgasms. Sometimes they're really loud, sometimes they're really quiet. And so, just getting curious about your partner's experience and getting curious about how you can make this an even better experience for them, I think is the way to go. And also not being goal-oriented about an orgasm, right? With people who have trouble having orgasms, putting pressure on them or having this goal of getting them to an orgasm can actually be counterproductive, right? If you close your eyes and try to sneeze, it doesn't happen, right? It's something you have to let happen. It's something you have to let flow through you. And the only way to do that is to not have the goal of having an orgasm. And so if you're struggling with that also, I would suggest another resource, something called orgasmic meditation, which is an exercise you can do with a partner. I need to find
Sounds
the
like
website.
a fun kind of meditation. I think you could get more people to meditate if that was the kind that they would always teach. Just saying.
Yeah. It's not really a meditation. It's more like it's a stroking exercise. And I'll send a guide and a video
Wow.
to. Yeah, I mean it's the video is kind of like surprisingly PG. It uses drawings and stuff like that. But it's not goal oriented. That's the point. It's just a defined time frame, 15 minutes with building a nest of pillows and somebody's getting stroked, and they're getting stroked in a very specific way with oil and lubrication and plenty of checking in, and there's no goal in mind. The only goal is to spend 15 minutes with the stroking, and the person who's being stroked has no obligation to do anything, really. They can ask for additional stuff, but they had no obligation to have an orgasm or anything like that, or to even say thank you. I think that can be a great exercise for people, especially women who are conditioned not to receive pleasure and not to care about pleasure, to get used to receiving pleasure and receiving it in a way that maybe will lead to an orgasm eventually.
That's important, everybody. And remember, on Valentine's Day, our 1-year anniversary for Proof of Love, it's Self-Love Day. So maybe you could do that meditation all by yourself. Who knows? Or with a loved one. Anywho, ladies, this was such a fun show. The Proof of Love show, as y'all listeners know by now, is coming out on Fridays. Go to proofoflovecast.com and listen in, share it with your friends. Any final words, ladies, before we sign off?
I just had a great time on this episode. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, this was so fun. And I will send you the orgasmic meditation stuff for the show notes.
Very important stuff to do, guys. All right. Well, we love you. Thanks for listening to Proof of Love, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Proof of Love has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.